hot on the heels of the Artemis II mission, which sent Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen to the moon and back. NASA has now announced that another Canadian is heading back into space, and that is astronaut Joshua Kutryk, who will be aboard the next mission to the International Space Station. He and the rest of the crew set to launch later this year and will spend several months in orbit. And joining me now is astronaut Joshua Kutryk. We've reached him in Houston. Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning, Susan.
Gosh, it must be pretty exciting now to finally have a date. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it is exciting. It's exciting personally. It's exciting for all of us at the Canadian Space Agency. You spoke about Artemis II, and we just kind of are wrapping that up. I was talking to Jeremy last night, so to be going right into another mission is good. It's good for all of us who work there. It's exciting for me. I feel very lucky, grateful, proud to be doing it as a Canadian.
And building on the excitement that mission, revealed in Canada and around the world. But you have been preparing, of course, for a long time for this type of mission. Tell us about that preparation.
Yeah, I've been training for close to 4 years now, specifically for this. It's called a long duration mission. It's very different from Artemis. We go to low Earth orbit. We live and work aboard, operate really the International Space Station for a long period of time. It'll be at least, I would say, a 6-month mission. So living in space for 6 months, doing a host of activities really for people all over the world, the majority of which is scientific research. So we do science there for researchers from Canada, but also from all over the world, kinds of sciences that can only be done in microgravity, low Earth orbit. So I'm getting ready to do that, to be a scientist in space, and of course also to operate the space station, fix it, repair it, run it. It's a complicated place. It has taken years of training to get to this spot.
I'm curious, Joshua, it's hard to pin down, I'm sure, but what was the most challenging part of that 4 years of training?
Oh, there's so many varieties to the training. For me, I think it comes down to what your background is in. I have a technical background. I like operating complex machines, flying as a test pilot. That's the stuff I like. But just to give you a sense, we've had to learn Russian to a certain level, learn other languages. And so there's things like that. That's one example that I would point out as probably something I have personally found more challenging. Yeah.
How's your Russian?
It's not bad. It's coming along.
Because, of course, part of your team is a cosmonaut, and this is all about the ISS international collaboration. How important is that, especially at this time when we see the world fragmenting in many other ways?
I'm really glad you brought that up. The international and ISS is a big part of that station. Of course, Canada is still one of the prime partners with the United States, but also Europe, Japan, and Russia. And you're right to point out I'm launching alongside a cosmonaut. I hope that people see that as a good thing. I think we saw that with Artemis II. Artemis II was the right mission. I feel that we needed it at this time as a world. We needed something positive to look up to. We needed to see what we can do together, collaboration internationally, this idea of working together towards a brighter future. At the core of it, that's what space is about. That's certainly what the International Space Station is about. And we definitely feel very lucky at the Canadian Space Agency to be able to help carry that forward now with this mission, 6 months in space and international crew.
Yeah, a really unique opportunity, especially at this time, as I said. Now, 6 months. We heard from Jeremy Hansen and the others how much of a bond is formed in just 10 days. What is the relationship in terms of goals and duties between you as a mission specialist and the other three on this mission?
We've all been working together for quite a number of years now. For the most part, we're equally trained. We will have the same certifications. And when it comes to certain specifics, what science experiments people will do, what elements of the International Space Station one person might be an expert or a specialist in, and then someone else might be the expert onboard specialist in another element or module. We have differences there. But for the most part, we're trained to work together. to run the station nominally and to deal with anything and everything that could go wrong up there, which of course does happen. It's a 25-year-old system. It's probably one of the most complex things I think humans have ever made. And so we're ready, trained to do all of the maintenance, be it replacing a circuit board on a computer or going out the door and doing a spacewalk and something, much more surgical or operational in terms of keeping the International Space Station healthy.
This is your first trip to space, I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So when you think about a spacewalk, going out the door to do a spacewalk, what's that like? Thinking about it.
I mean, now that I know a fair bit about it, I would tell you it's daunting. It's probably the riskiest thing that NASA does right now in low Earth orbit. There's nothing straightforward about it. NASA is really good at making it look easy when you see these things take place on TV, but there's nothing straightforward or easy about it. It's very high risk. It's very complex. It's supported by hundreds, even thousands of people here on the ground. So there's that element of it, the element of having to get technically ready, the element of managing that risk and being in a position where you and your team are confident enough to go and do it. Of course, the other element is the 6-year-old kid in me that I still feel like sometimes I've dreamed about going to space my whole life. I've dreamed of doing stuff like that since my earliest memories. And so to be sitting here now with the launch date and with stuff like that, the potential of doing a spacewalk on the horizon, I'm just excited as a little kid. Not so much anymore, obviously, but sometimes I still feel that way, and it's space that makes me feel like that kid again.
Joshua, I have a couple more questions for you, but you just segued into one of our viewers' questions, and he was asking you, in fact, when did you first develop that love of space? You say 6, 7 years old. What was the catalyst?
I don't know. I'm still very interested in exploring. Used to marvel and read about ocean explorers and Arctic explorers, and that's still something that really resonates with me, the idea of exploring, not because we know what we're going to find, but because we know that we're going to find things we didn't expect. We're going to make advancements in technology development and discoveries along the way. That's the essence of exploration, and I've always felt an urge, a desire to be part of that, even as a kid. Wonder, amazement at how small we are, I think. I do have memories of looking at the stars as a young kid and just feeling really, really small and marveling at this idea, how neat, interesting, fascinating it would be to leave this planet and get a little bit closer to that, the stars, the stuff that people have looked up at since
we had another viewer write in this morning to our request for questions, and she said, Wanda asked, we've been wondering about this since watching the Artemis 2 trip around the moon. How does the crew mark time in space?
It's hard on a 6-month mission. So we do a lot of things to help us. We have lighting tricks. Sometimes we use medication. The simple answer is that we try to put everyone on the same time, and that time is we just pick for everybody involved in this, including the astronauts, the Greenwich Mean Time from England. So that's the time we operate on. That's the time everyone on the ground uses who's supporting us. But it is tricky to trick your mind into that when you're seeing sometimes 15, 16 sunrises, sunsets a day. Really?
That many a day? Wow. That's time travel.
You go around the Earth once every 90 minutes, so.
That's super.
Moving pretty.
Super cool. We all learned so much again about Artemis during the last month or so, but we're going to learn more from you. I have a question, though, about the Artemis trip. Do you wish you would go to the moon?
I think, I think I'm one of thousands of people who wish someday we could go to the moon. Now, of course, on a day-to-day basis here with Jeremy, no, that's never been a thing. We've sort of been on the tracks to these respective missions, as I was saying, for many, many years. And Jeremy and I both, he would tell you the same thing. We, more than anything, we feel lucky to have the chance to do what we're doing for Canada, and proud to be doing it as a Canadian with the red maple leaf on our shoulders. So no, right now, just happy, lucky, proud to be going out and doing it. Someday, I do think we're going to see, we should want to see more Canadian lunar missions, maybe even someday to the surface. And just as a Canadian, as that Canadian kid who loves space, yeah, I want to see that, and I want to play any role that I can.
And Joshua, in Canada this week, in fact, the government announced that we are preparing the ground for a bigger Canadian presence in space missions, a launch pad for rockets. Do you think this is a moment?
I hope so. I think that space is opportunity. That's the word that comes to mind. You know, we are at a moment in history where things are changing so fast, especially down here. I'm calling you from Houston this morning. But space is opportunity. It's economic opportunity, scientific opportunity for development and research and international collaboration. But it is kind of like that old metaphor that said it's the new ocean. And I do think it's important for Canada to be where we are, which is on the leading edge of that, and to stay there. That's going to be important for our future prosperity going forward. That's much bigger than, you know, the coolness of astronaut missions. It's important to us as a nation. And so, yeah, I do think we're at a moment. I hope we are. And I hope we keep the momentum going.
Just a quick question on technical. We expect this to be sometime in September. What determines the actual date?
It's all about crew rotation. So NASA and its partners, Canadian Space Agency, have had continuous human presence in orbit now for over 25 years. And we maintain that by swapping in and out a crew of professional astronauts every 6 or 7 months. So this is part of that crew rotation. The last crew launched a matter of months ago, and they will be ready to come home in September. So our current date is September 12th. Launch the space station, do about a week-long handover with the previous residents of the space station. Then they come home and we take it over for the next 6 months.
And finally, we all know Chris Hadfield up there did a music video, kind of infamous video. Are you going to do a music video, or maybe you have a special talent we don't know about, Joshua?
I have many special talents you don't know about, but one of them is not a being musically inclined. You know, you'd be amazed how many people ask me that. So maybe I just have to. I have 5 months. You think I can become a guitar expert in that time?
Well, you learned some Russian, so get busy.
Thanks.
Listen, I'm sure you're plenty busy, and you took time to speak to us here on CBC Morning Live. We really appreciate it. Congratulations, by the way. We're all very proud of all of you who attempt this, and thanks so much for talking to Canadians this morning.
Thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure.